Yo, yo, hip hop heist, man. What up? We back at it with another reaction. Why the Grammys will never let ASAP Rocky win. Shout out to Distora for another article, man. We about to react. This is Hip Hop Heist TV, man. Hit that like and subscribe. Go follow Distora. We appreciate them bringing us this article. And with that being said, man, let's get right to it.
His relationship with the Grammys starts to make more sense. Over the years, Rocky has created major cultural moments without ever fully aligning himself with the industry's expectations, and after those moments, recognition slowly faded.
I just don't like the fact that I haven't won a Grammy yet for any of my video direction. I direct all my videos. Yeah, you kill it too. And it's not fair. My videos are so eclectic, they're so futuristic, and most of the time conceptual to the point where it takes a lot of, I would say, intel and intellect to kind of, grasp what I mean. But most people get it. For those who do, I love you.
Once you notice that pattern in his career, the situation stops feeling random, and it becomes easier to understand why, despite his influence and impact, he'll most likely never win a Grammy. The first reason sits deeper than Rocky himself, but it directly affects how his work is received. For decades, the Recording Academy has struggled to take hip-hop seriously on its own terms. Even as rap became the most dominant cultural force in music, the Grammys continued to reward safer pop, rock, and crossover records, while genre-defining hip-hop albums were sidelined or ignored. Artists who pushed the sound forward often watched from the outside as their influence reshaped the industry without being properly acknowledged by it. When you place Rocky...
Hey, you know what's crazy is I just thought of this, but last night at the Grammys, I did not see ASAP Rocky or Rihanna. You get what I'm saying? Rocky just put out that album. That might be for next year Grammy. Or maybe this year. I don't know when the cutoff time is. But if you think about it, yeah, they wasn't there yesterday. And Rocky has never won an album. I just watched the helicopter video. That shit is crazy fire. I mean, you got to go check it out. ASAP Rocky helicopter. That thing is just... Honestly, when you think about it, his videos are always next level. Something that we ain't never seen before. You get what I'm saying? So that is kind of interesting that he never been, respected in that light as far as the Grammys concerned.
Inside that history, his lack of recognition starts to look familiar rather than surprising.
How you gonna knock somebody in the world for actually trying to do something? Trying. Since when has it become not cool to try?
This becomes clearer when you look at the artists Rocky grew up idolizing and aligning himself with creatively. Figures like Tupac helped define entire eras of hip-hop, but were never fully recognized by the Grammys during their lifetimes. Years later, moments like the controversial 2014 Kendrick Lamar snub showed that this pattern didn't disappear. When Rocky...
Oh, you know what that means, man. We about to bypass the ad and get straight to the comments. Ivna says, I go against the industry. Or excuse me, he go against the industry. He a effing live legend. The whole humanity will remember him for keeping real to himself. Microwave Society says, since when do artists need trophies to validate their success? This guy is a legend. IDK, a good name, says ASAP Rocky has the best music videos overall. I mean, I can't disagree. I mean, overall, there's a lot of directors and videos out there, but he really up there with it. We can't lie about that. I mean, he always got the next level. When you go back to what was the one where he was on the bikes? ASAP, was it ASAP? Damn, what was that video? But they was all on the bikes and the camera kept flipping to the next scene, and it just kept like it was rolling or something. And it was always the next scene. And that was like next level at the time. You get what I'm saying? When you go back to Goldie, just him and Yams riding through Paris, I think. I think it was a Mercedes or a 5.0 or something. But they was top down. It was just a different look with the gold chains, like, purple. Everything is purple. You know what I mean? Remember that? The white girl rapping the video. The whole thing, like, everything's just constantly evolving creatively, like. So that is interesting though that he is not there. And y'all let me know too in the comments why you think that is. But let's keep going. Let's finish this one out. Shout out this story again. Let's get it.
Never fully embraced him. What makes Rocky's situation even more telling is how his influence has always outpaced formal recognition. Hip-hop moves fast, and Rocky has often been ahead of the curve aesthetically and culturally. By the time institutions catch up to those shifts, the moment has already passed. Rocky exists in that space where his impact is immediate, but his acknowledgement is delayed.
I feel blessed. I'm happy to be here, be able to be an artist that's, respected for his creativity and his craft. And that's why, I didn't really want to touch on that other subject. It's because it's just like, man, putting this album out took a lot out of me because, I created it with Yams and he's gone. And, there's nobody that could ever replace him. So I'm just trying to be strong. I don't think you ever get through these things.
You can see the same pattern when you compare Rocky to artists like Travis Scott. Travis reshaped modern rap's sound, performance style, and album rollout strategies, much like Rocky did earlier in the decade. Albums like Rodeo and Astroworld didn't just succeed commercially, they shifted the genre's direction. Yet for years, that influence didn't translate cleanly into Grammy wins. Rocky's career mirrors that arc closely. Massive cultural reach and an awards history that doesn't reflect it. What separates Rocky even further is that his influence has never been limited to music. From the beginning, he positioned himself as more than a rapper. His impact stretches across fashion, visuals, creative direction, and how artists present themselves as brands.
I shouldn't just be identified as a rapper because I'm not. I'm an artist. Rappers rap. Artists, they articulate.
Entire generations have borrowed from his style and approach. But because the Grammys focus almost exclusively on music outputs, they struggle to reward artists like Rocky, whose influence lives across culture rather than inside charts alone. The second reason is Rocky's refusal to stay in one box. From early in his career, he rejected the idea of sticking to a single sound or identity. Instead of chasing formulas, he treated albums as spaces for experimentation.
It's one of those situations where you just put out the product and you got to see where the legacy goes from there. I could say what I want it to be and what I hope it will be. I'm successful up until this day by just doing what I feel is true to me. So I feel like if I continue to do that, I'll be alright. You know what I'm saying?
That approach defines much of his catalog and plays a major role in how his work is perceived. While it strengthened his artistic identity, it also made him harder for institutions to categorize. That tension is clearest on Testing. Released in 2018, the album leaned into disjointed structures, distorted production, and unconventional choices that pushed rap toward more experimental territory. It wasn't designed for comfort or consensus. Rocky knew that and leaned into it anyway. Albums like Testing tend to age better than they score at award shows because they prioritize exploration over immediate validation. Years later, Don't Be Dumb continued that philosophy. After a long hiatus, Rocky returned with a project that blended southern rap, punk, indie, and alternative influences into something more focused and refined. He doubled down on experimentation. That consistency says a lot about his priorities.
Yeah, that's something big in his. We've always watched that through the years. Rocky got that constant creative experimentation vibe. You get what I'm saying?
And also explains why award systems that rely on clear genre boundaries struggle to place him. Rocky's creative path mirrors artists like Kanye West, who also face resistance when pushing hip-hop beyond traditional limits. Innovation often creates distance between the artist and institutions meant to validate them. Rocky has consistently chosen growth over approval, even when it came at the cost of recognition. Another factor shaping Rocky's Grammy history is visibility. He doesn't flood the market with releases or maintain constant media presence. Instead, he moves quietly, disappears for years, and returns only when he feels creatively ready. That approach builds mystique and longevity, but it doesn't help in award cycles that reward momentum and consistency over patience. There's also the matter of industry politics. Rocky has never seemed interested in playing the behind-the-scenes game that often influences nominations and wins. He prioritizes his own creative world, his circle, and his freedom. While that independence protects his authenticity, it also distances him from institutions that thrive on relationships, lobbying, and constant participation. Timing plays a role here too. The Grammys often reward artists once their influence feels safe, digestible, and fully absorbed by the mainstream. Rocky's ideas usually land early, when they still feel disruptive. By the time those aesthetics and sounds become standard, attention has already shifted elsewhere. That disconnect leaves artists like Rocky permanently misaligned with award cycles built around hindsight instead of foresight. This also raises the question of how influence is measured in the first place. Awards depend on numbers, narratives, and clean storylines. Influence doesn't always show up that way. It shows up in trends copied years later, in artists who quietly borrow entire aesthetics, and in sounds that become normalized without credit. Those contributions are harder to quantify, which makes them easier to overlook. The third reason is harder to ignore. Rocky's exclusion creates conversation. Every time his name comes up around Grammy season, fans debate and attention builds. That reaction keeps the Grammys relevant without requiring them to change. In that sense, Rocky's absence becomes part of the cycle. His influence fuels discussion even without recognition. This pattern has repeated itself throughout his career. His moments shape culture, the conversation grows, and recognition never fully follows. Over time, that absence becomes normalized, even as his
That's deep. So it's just a rhythm and a cycle to bring him up around the Grammys but not have him actually there. That's crazy. That's some like psychological type, you know what I mean? That's MK Ultra type mental stuff. I don't know why they don't incorporate him in those categories. Cause bro is really nice with it when it comes to this hip hop, when it comes to the culture, and when it comes to elevating creativity. So that is interesting. But y'all let me know in the comments. We're going to get out of here. This Hip Hop Heist TV. Thank you to Distora for bringing us this article. Make sure y'all go follow them, Distora. And, yeah, man, leave them some nice comments. But with that being said, man, be happy, be healthy. Do what you got to do to survive, like Pac said. But also, man, be of service. Help somebody out today. I feel like that's why we really here as human beings, is to be of service. Where you can. So yeah, man, we all in this together. Thank y'all for watching, man. If y'all want to support a little more, go get that sticker $5.55 in the channel store tab. Actually, it's underneath this video as well. And yeah, man, we gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for watching, man. Peace.